Hi, it's Sam, your old school book nerd, coming to you on a weekend. We had False Fall last week, and now we are back into steamy hot summer again in September. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about my summer reads. First things first, we're going to light our little beach candle here since we've got the summer vibes going. See if I can do this on camera and not look like a total dork. There we go. Some nice beachy smells going. Get my hair wrapped up because it is hot as heck today. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about some of my summer reads. I am a very, very slow reader. I am also a big DNF'er. So over the course of June, July, and August, I read maybe incomplete 10 books. So I thought I would just share some of those with you because some of them are ones that just came out or are just coming out. And some are some older books that maybe you didn't know about. And then, of course, there were some big mega bestsellers. So I'm going to go through my handy dandy story graph on my phone here and do a little screen record. And we'll talk about some of my reads. I'll be right back. Doesn't really count as a June read, but I finished it on June 1st, and that is Murder by Memory by Olivia Waite. It was so good. I want to go back and read it again because I know I missed so much because I was looking at the world building and not necessarily following a lot of the mystery part of it. So basically, it is a ginormous, like country size or city size spaceship that's been going around for 300, 400 years. And the residents of the spaceship can download their memories into the library when their physical bodies are dying, and then they are reborn and their memories are uploaded into their bodies again. So this starts with a person waking up and having their memories in another body. So their first thing they have to do is figure out whose body they are now in. And then they need to figure out what happened to their body, and they need to figure out what happened to this person that their memories are gone and that and have been replaced. So it's a mystery. It's just it's so fascinating to think about what would you do if you knew you could keep your body for multiple lives and keep your memories. When would you decide just to end it, really? Um, Fascinating. I'm going to suggest this to a book club next year just because I want to talk to people about it. So again, Murder by Memory. I would say definitely a 5-star read. I don't do star ratings necessarily because since I'm a DNF'er, everything that I complete is going to be at least a 3.5 star for me. So Murder by Memory, definitely a 5-star. It's a novella. It's really short. It's like 100 and some odd pages. Quick read. Highly recommend, especially like if you're doing a challenge where you need a sci-fi and you're not a sci-fi reader. I would recommend this one. Scrolling along. Fellowship of Librarians and Dragons by Jay Penner. I paused that book in June. I want to go back to it. I want to go back to it when the third one comes out. I have the indie published version. I want to get to the traditional published, the full set, and reread the first one and then go into the second one and then into the third one. That's probably going to be like a November dive for me because the third one, which comes out September 9th, so around the time that I've posted this, is set in the wintertime. And my goal for November and December is to read all late fall, early winterish books. So I'm going to go back to it. I paused it. Is not a hard DNF for me. And then in mid-June, I picked up Human Design by Jenna Zoe. I had never heard of human design before, and I was like reading a blog or something, and someone mentioned it, and I did a deep dive. And I'm gonna pause here for a second so you can see. I mean, I took notes galore, and I usually only take notes on books that I'm leading a book discussion on, but I just highlighted the crap out of this book, dog-eared everything, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna read it like 3 or 4 times. So human design is like it takes concepts of your astrology and Enneagram and Myers Briggs and all of those personality and um, your lifestyle elements, and it really just combines it all into one. And it's really about how your energy flows and what you should be focusing on in your life. So, highly recommend this. It's an older book, I think, like maybe 2021. Let's see what year it came out. 2023. So, that was a June read for me. Moving on with my little scrolly. 20th of June, I started Half Built Garden. It was for a book club. I got 20 pages into it and I didn't like the world. I didn't like the people. I didn't understand the world. It just fell flat for me. So stopped it. Nope. That was a hard DNF for me. At the same time, I started the audiobook of Back After This. Why can I not figure out? There. Back After This. Oh, I figured out the side. That side. Um, by, oh, what's her name? I can't see it here. Pull it up. Linda Holmes. I did the audiobook of that. She reads the audiobook. She's a radio presenter, so she has a really good presenting voice, audio voice. A lot of times when uh, authors are reading their own books, I'm like, so basically, Cicely Foster is a podcast producer. She gets coerced by her boss and a coworker to become the subject of her next podcast. Her company is failing in a way, and so it's kind of like presented to her as a way to save the company. And this podcast is an up and coming Instagrammer, social media maven who is claims to be a matchmaker. And this social media darling sends her out on all these really horrific dates. And so at the same time that she agrees to do this podcast, she runs into a guy on the street and they hit it off. So it's a romantic contemporary lit. It's not a romance per se because the romance is not the center of it, but there's definitely a happily ever after, and it's hysterical, especially the commentary on A, podcasting, and B, the influencer crowd. So highly recommend that. Again, probably a 4.5 star. And then moving on, we are almost into July. I ended June with the Feminist Guide to ADHD. I was recently semi-diagnosed. I haven't had an official medical diagnosis, but my therapist definitely thinks that I had ADHD. Um, so I read this, very interesting. I'd say, I read the whole thing. I skimmed some, so it's probably a 3.5 star for me. But again, I did do some things where I folded down full pages because I do want to go back and kind of address them. A lot of them are like lists of like, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you not do this? And it's kind of like a lifestyle guide. You understand your ADHD. The key thing take away from this is the fact that women are not diagnosed for ADHD as children, and there have been very few medical studies of ADHD in women and girls. So anything I can get my hands on that addresses the female element of ADHD, I'm going to grab because it is so understudied. So that was my June reading. Let's look at July. Yes, I started in June, finished it in July. A Gentleman's Gentleman. No, nope, did it wrong. Side. This was for my romance book club. Absolutely freaking love this book. It's a trans man who has returned to his native England, and is kind of being pressured or forced to get married so that he can save his crumbling estate. Pretty stereotypical in the Regency romances. So his solicitors send him a valet or butler to help him get ready to go to the season in London. And he and the valet start to have feelings for each other. There is a beautiful kind of twist at the end when they come together. It's a beautiful story, and I highly recommend it. A nice, not clean, closed door esque. There's a few little spicy scenes, but not many. Low spice, closed door, trans romance. It's beautiful. Moving through July, I had a couple book club books that I had to read in July. I started Bad Luck, a Bride by Laura Lee Gerke. I think I'm pronouncing that right. um, as a NetGalley arc. I haven't decided if it's going to be a hard DNF or I just paused it. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the characters. I wasn't feeling the. It was mostly dialogue in the first two chapters that I read, and I just wasn't feeling it. Tusk Love. Oh, this was a hard one for me. So hard. It's currently on pause. I know in my heart it's probably going to be a DNF. So Tusk Love is based in the world of Critical Role. I'm an OG critter. I have a lot of feelings about Critical Role the last 2 years as an OG critter. I was just disappointed in this book. I felt like it dived into characters that I didn't like them. Sorry. And didn't build the world much. I understood where they were in this world and what it meant, but that's just because I've seen a bajillion hours of Critical Role. And if you're not a Critical Role fan, there wasn't much world building. Now, again, I only made it a chapter and a half in, and I was just disappointed. Apparently, it gets super spicy because that's how they teased it throughout the show when they were talking about it. It was a book within their world that they kept talking about. So then they hired an author to write a book. It hurts me. It hurts me to the core to have that be a DNF because of my ties to, excuse you, phone, my ties to Critical Role. So it's a pause. It's probably going to be a DNF. So, moving on into July, I started the audiobook of Bring Down the House by Charlotte Runcie. I really enjoyed it. It's a pause for me right now, though. I'd say probably 3 stars for me. It didn't go the way I was thinking it was going to go. So it starts out with 2 critics at the Fringe Fest, at the Edinburgh Fringe Fest. Edinburgh? Yes, Edinburgh Fringe Fest. And one, a guy, what sees a one-woman show, The Woman's from America. He hates the show, thinks it's abysmal. It's supposedly about climate change, and he just hates it. Later on, we learned that he only ever gives 5-star reviews and 1-star reviews. There's nothing in between for him. After the show, after the performance, he's at a bar and he sees her, and he ends up bringing her back to his apartment and sleeping with her, only for her to wake up in the morning and see her review splashed across the paper as being absolutely horrendous. She then turns the show into a one-woman show all about him and how horrible of a human he is. His coworker goes to see it, and then his coworker then takes over kind of the narration, and it's really about her views on him, and that's as far as it flashes back to his dating life. It's kind of called a black comedy, and I didn't see a lot of comedy in it. It is definitely a dive into the world of a womanizer. So I'll probably go back to it. It's not something that I'm necessarily going to keep adding to TBRs, but if I've got like 4 more hours of it, so we'll see. But then I picked up Atmosphere. Atmosphere. My first Taylor Jenkins read. I'm surprised it's my first. Everybody on the staff has read at least one. It was so good. I say that with the caveat that I almost gave up about 50 pages in. I was leading the book club discussion, so I knew I had to power through. The first 50 pages, I'm like, who is this woman? Why do I care about this woman? So the story is, it's about a woman named Joan who is training to be an astronaut in the 1980s. So it's the group that goes up right after Sally Ride. So she and some of her co-astronauts are the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th women to go up into space. I wanted to read it because A, I loved 80s NASA, and B, I also just love the 80s. As an 80s teenager, it was my life. So I actually loved the era of it, and I totally got into it because I could remember all of this stuff happening. I remember my 3rd grade class watching the very first space shuttle take off and land. I mean, like, we stopped school and rolled TVs into every classroom so we could all watch it. It was history. So the first 50 pages is about Joan getting into the program, into the astronaut program, and her first few days of it, and her sister. And I'm just like, I don't really care about Joan. And who the frig is this sister of hers? Well, after about 100 so odd pages, it really picks up. The training is less about the training and more about Joan and the people she meets while she's training. And you really get a deep dive into this sister of hers, Barbara. Mm, Barbara. Ooh. My book group ended up talking longer about Barbara than we did Joan because Barbara is a piece of work, and I've got a lot I could say about Barbara. Um, she's just a horrible person. Uh, it, and it, I think the blurb on it is that it's a love story for life, and I'm like, where's the love story? The love story happens, but it's not just the love story between Joan and another person. It's the love story between Joan and finding her place in the world and outside the world, up in space. Um, it's just it's a I loved the book, and if Taylor Jenkins Reid's books are all like this, I probably will read them all eventually. Not sure which one I'll do next. We'll see. Moving through July, we go into end of July. The Will of the Many, another book club book. Um, I tried. I think I made it 60 pages. I absolutely thought the book could have been a third the length that it was. It's set in a world loosely based on the Roman Empire, and this teenager apparently is going to save everybody, and he is so good at everything he does, and I just was rolling my eyes. I couldn't. That was a hard DNF for me, even though it was a book club book. Then reading Who's Afraid of Gender and the transgender issue were for another book club. I had a lot of book clubs going on in July and August. Who's Afraid of Gender is very wordy. That's a word for it. Very deep, very looking at minutia of words and descriptions of gender and what the author calls the anti-gender movement. Um, I did not finish it. I read enough that I could talk about it at book group. The book I did finish for book group in July, end of July, early August, was The Transgender Issue by Sean Fay. I'll post a thing up here so you can see it. It is a British book. So it is about the legal and emotional and physical issues of being trans in the UK. But the author does do a good job of making a lot of the issues universal. So while the particulars of different groups and laws are to England and the UK, a lot of it she does address of what's going on currently in the US, currently as in it was written in 2023. So, and there is a chapter on other laws in the EU and things like that. It is just it's a good book in the sense that it really dives into the issues that are facing our trans community, but it's also a hard book to read, a really hard book to read, knowing just how shitty the world is and what lawmakers and turfs are doing to the community. Um, so I do recommend it. I would give it probably about 4 stars because a lot of it did not pertain to living in America and what's going on here. Um, but it is really a really good book and a necessary book for a lot of people to read. Moving into Love at Full Tilt by Jenny Howe. I have it on pause right now. It probably will be a DNF. I love Jenny Howe's adult romances. How to Get a Guy in 10 Dates. I can't. I'll post the thing up here because I can't. It's something about 10 dates. Absolutely loved that book, and probably I don't do a lot of rereading. Probably will go back and read it again just because the way she writes the dates that the main character went on were hilarious, and I just loved it. Love at Full Tilt is her first YA. It is a plus size main character, which is fabulous. That's one of the reasons I love Jenny Howe. I just couldn't get into it for 2 reasons. One, it's set a contest in a Disney-esque theme park, and with everybody, well, not everybody, everybody in the contest, especially the main character, are obsessed with this theme park and the world, the Disney-esque world. You can't say it is Disney, but it totally is. You know it is. I have no interest in the Disney theme parks. Sorry, I just never have. And I'm not a big Disney girl. Like, I wasn't of the age of coming up with the newer crop of Disney princess films. You know, I saw the classics back in the 70s on DVD, not DVD, on VHS. So I'm not really tied to Disney World. So that element of it, I was kind of struggling with. Like, I couldn't get into the world. And the other element is the main character's mother has severe anxiety. And I know Jenny's writing this with, well, I don't know, but I'm assuming Jenny's writing this from someone who knows someone with severe anxiety or herself maybe has it. I don't know this. Um, so the character is written with love, but it's really hard. It was really hard for me to read as someone who has severe anxiety, social anxiety, especially. Um, and the mother is releasing her daughter to go to this contest at this theme park, and it's really hard for the mother. At the same time, my son was moving out finally. He graduated college, moving out. So I saw the parallels with the mother just in the first few chapters, and it was a little too hard for me. So I do want to go back to it because, like I said, I love Jenny Howe. But it's right now it's a soft DNF for me. Um, so and now we are fully into August, and I've got a couple really good ones. Automatic Noodle. Automatic Noodle. If you have not read this, I say get it now. Just go. Stop the video. Go find it somewhere. I'm just now starting to explore sci-fi. So between Murder by Memory and this one, which is it's a novella. It's let's see, I have the arc, which is 160 pages. Um, it's a dystopian world, not too far in the future. It's like 2063, I think. The U.S. and California have had a war. A little on the nose there in a way. And sentient robots were used by California in the war. The U.S. is sort of anti-robot. Um, and after the war, the robots then were assigned new jobs. This is the main robot, and this one is a former military robot who has now been assigned to work at a restaurant. It starts with them waking up after losing 4 months, like just waking up 4 months later. The restaurant is shut down, and all the other robots that worked at the restaurant were shut down as well. So he wakes them up, and then they form their own company and start their own noodle shop in this restaurant that they take over with a few help from one or two humans, and a sentient talking VW van. Might be one of my favorite non-human characters ever. So it's really a story about found family, and what is reality and what is human. So highly recommend this. It's again great for those that want to explore sci-fi. I read that like in 2 days, which for me is a speed read. Then moving on, Hot Desk. Eh, I was reading an e-galley of it. It's now out in hardcover. I might pick it up when it's in paperback and try it again. It just didn't grip me, and I have a real hard time reading ebooks. There's just something about reading on a screen that I just can't do. Maybe it's the previously mentioned ADHD. Then moving through August, I have two that I finished in August and a couple that I DNF'd. So the two that I finished in August are The Curious Calling of Leonard Bush. And I've talked about this briefly in a couple other videos. Southern historical fiction takes place in the 1960s in a very small and poor town in the mountains of Tennessee. The author is a dear friend, has been for years of mine. This is her first book in 10 years. It's so good. It's dark in the sense that you just want to hug all the people in it. Everybody in this book just needs a really good hug. But they find their own joys. And so Leonard is 12, I think, in the book. He's had an accident down at the river that the river flows through part of his property. He's had an accident and he eventually loses his leg. And it starts with him taking his leg up to the family cemetery and having a funeral for the portion of his leg that has been removed. And he becomes kind of a prophet in a sense to the community. Other people see that he's lost his leg, and burying it seems to have made him more aware of things and moving on with his life, so that they start asking him to bury their secrets or their transgressions. At the same time, his parents are having marital issues. that he's unaware of. Eventually, he becomes aware of it, and then he has a friend. He has a couple friends that are having issues. Um, it's a hard read in the fact that it's dark in the sense that there doesn't feel like there's hope, but it's also very heartwarming at the same time. And there is hope in the end. They find their hope and they find their joy, and it's wonderful. It's a beautiful book. Highly recommended. It'd be a great book for book clubs. Just came out in hardcover. Susan Greg Gilmore is currently doing a tour of bookstores in the South. So if you're in the South and you happen to see her coming to your town, I would highly recommend picking out the book and going to meet her. And then I finished off August with a book that has been on my shelf for 2 years. Everybody in my store, all of my friends, all of my customers have been telling me to read it. And I've been like, no, I'm not really in the mood for it. I don't know. It's not going to live up to it. It lived up to it. I could not put this down. I told my husband to shut up and leave me alone so I could go read this book. It is so good. It's just I can't describe it other than the fact that it's the hug that Leonard and his people needed. Like, if they could have read a book this sweet and pure, it would have been great. Everybody in this wants to do good and they want to help each other, and it's just so sweet. And there's freaking talking plants. The talking VW van in Automatic Noodle is my number one sentient non-human character. Meep, the talking cactus, or somewhat talking cactus, the sentient cactus in this, is my second favorite sentient character. Um, so this is about a librarian who basically has lived in her library in the capital city. The capital city is overrun by revolutionaries, so she grabs as many books as she can, and her coworker, who is a talking spider plant, and returns to her parents' home that they all, as a family, left when she was a girl. And she finds out that the land, the island that she grew up on is slowly dying because the magic has been removed by the capital city. So she starts to create the magic because she's the keeper of the spell books. And it's beautiful. It's a love story, but it's not a romance. It's definitely historic. It's definitely fantasy, and it's just sweet. Um, the second book I just downloaded the audiobook for, and the third book I have the ARC for because it's coming out in March or April of next year. So, Spell Shop, I'm late to the game on this. I am a cozy fantasy reader, and I should have picked this up 2 years ago when it first came out. There, you all win. You were right. You knew I would love the Spell Shop, and I absolutely love the Spell Shop. So that was my summer reading. Again, it was 10 books total that I completed. I think I went through all of them, and a whole bunch of DNFs and pauses. Right now, I'm concentrating on a bingo board and book club reads for September and October. And then, like I said earlier, my November and December reads, I'm going to do all cozy, Christmassy winter vibes. And then moving into the new year, I'm going to have some new challenges that I'll be sharing on my channel that everybody can participate in, and a new way to choose my TBR. I'm still working out the particulars of it, but that was what I read this summer. So hopefully you all read something good and you are currently reading something good. Ciao from the old school book nerd.